So in this installment of DCP Help, I am going to be talking about check-in. It's very exciting. I have my own personal check-in actually documented and vlogged. So if you go further down on my channel, probably all the way to the bottom, it's like my 5th or 6th video, I think, documents my experience of check-in. I'm just going to talk at you guys for now about what happens at check-in and my advice for things you should bring. So we'll start with that. What to bring to check-in. It's very important that you bring all the documents you need. So what they're going to do, a couple days before you check in, Disney is going to send you an email and they'll tell you all the information about what you have to bring. When I went down, I had to bring a blank check for direct deposit so that my money that I earned would go right to my bank account. I had to bring my social security card, insurance information, all that kind of housekeeping stuff, just so they can, fill out all your paperwork and you can fill your paperwork out to the best of your ability. Secondly, I would recommend bringing a folder and a couple pieces of paper just because they do give you a lot of things, a lot of information, a lot of stuff, and it's very important paper, such as your schedule for the next couple of days, where you're training, that kind of stuff. You don't want to lose it, so you really need to make sure that you have a folder with you, and a pen as well. I didn't bring a pen, and they had a lot of pens, but it's better to bring your own, just so you're ready. They also are going to give you like a Disney internship bag there. So, I wouldn't really worry about bringing heavy bags. They will bring you something to give, have stuff for you. So don't worry about lugging a huge bag to check in because you will be standing in line for a pretty substantial amount of time, depending on how long the wait is. So that brings me to the beginning of check-in. Currently, Disney is doing check-ins in waves. So what they're going to do, you'll get an assigned time, you'll go wait in line at that time, and then it'll begin. So I guess we'll just go on to the first part of check-in. So the first step of check-in is finding out where you work and your apartment. It is the most exciting part of check-in, and the rest of check-in actually is pretty boring after this, but this is what you're waiting for. It's very exciting. So you're going to receive your program guide, which I'm sure you've seen. It's a huge book. It has a map of all the complexes so you can find your apartment, special numbers, events, good stuff. It's a really good keepsake. Make sure you hold on to that. It'll have a lot of good information on it, like your ID, and your apartment number will eventually be on there as well. So it starts in a line in Vista, right outside. It's a winding line. You'll wait through there, and then you go inside the building. And then you're going to get up to, they'll split you into alphabetically, and then you're going to find out your work location. So it's different for every job. For me, merchandise, I got, you're working in Magic Kingdom, Adventureland merchandise. That was pretty clear where I was working. I knew I'd be in the Pirates of the Caribbean gift shop. I knew I'd be in the Aladdin gift shop. That's easy. But for other roles, it's a little bit vague. I know my roommate was in attractions and she got Epcot West or Epcot East, and there are a lot of attractions in those different locations. For example, I had another friend who got Adventureland and Liberty Square attractions, which could be Hall of Presidents, Pirates of the Caribbean, Jungle Cruise, Aladdin's Magic Carpet, Swiss Family Robinson. It's not very specific for attractions, and I'm pretty sure Character Attendant was similar as well. You found out like where you were working, but not specifically interesting things. So it'll depend on the role. For merchandise, it was really easy because it was, obvious as to where I was working, but it's still exciting. You have a general idea and you know what park you're in, and that's awesome. So best part of the day right there. The second part, once you do that, you go right into a line and you'll find out where you're living. So it's super exciting. I would recommend, if you know your roommates, to stick together for this part so you can all find out together. They'll tell you where you're living and your apartment number, how many people you're in your apartment, etc. And then they will take your picture and you'll get your housing ID and they'll give you your key. So make sure you hold on to that. I'd recommend bringing like a lanyard just so you can stick all that stuff in there and not have to worry about it. So I think overall that encompasses like the first huge chunk of check-in, and it's definitely most exciting. After that, it's still exciting, but it's, that is the peak, I think, is the beginning. So the second part of check-in is a little bit more like housekeeping. It's a little boring, but very necessary. What they're going to do, you're going to get in line alphabetically again. You're going back outside, and what they do is they'll give you a sheet of paper that basically has your schedule for the next 3 days. So it's exciting because it'll tell you what time casting is for you. So mine was at like 11 o'clock. What time traditions is. Mine was that Thursday, so it was like 3 days later. And then it'll tell you, you know, if you have to do any tests, like attractions people and food and beverage, I think all have to do drug testing. So it'll say what day your drug test is. My roommate's was that night, so like that was easy. And then it'll also tell you if you need to take like a mandatory language test, which I did. On my resume, I had put that I am conversant in German, which is true. I took German all through high school. So if you put that on your resume, they're going to have you take a mandatory language test just so you can get that little extra pin on your name tag. If it does not say on your schedule that you have a mandatory language test and you still want to take the test, all you have to do is call Vista Way and they can sign you up for a test. So don't stress about that. And then after that, basically, they're going to have you fill out all your tax forms and your safety liability forms. I know for me, it was pretty easy to do all the safety stuff just because I had come prepared with all of my insurance documents. The one piece of advice I'm going to give you guys for like your W-4s and all of your tax information, for me, because I'm from New York, and the way that the Florida system worked with taxes, it did not take out tax from, I think it was federal tax, it did not take it out of my paycheck as much as it should have. So when I did my tax return this year, I ended up owing like $250, and it doesn't seem like a lot, but for a college student, that's a lot of money. So my advice for you guys would be to make sure you fill out the documents carefully, and I can't tell you obviously what you should put on your tax documents, but I would recommend, you know, taking out as much as possible because you'd rather get more back when you do your return as opposed to having to owe some. So that's just my advice, but take it or leave it, do whatever you like. And then after that, they basically give you like some safety spiels about, you know, the resources you have if you're sick or if you need to contact other people. It's really good to have. They're going to give you a lot of sheets, very good to keep with you. They'll give you a bag, so make sure you put all of it in there. And then after that, I think they gave us some snacks, and then they basically had us just like wait outside until our big bus came. And so they send you off in waves, and then you go to casting, which is the next part of the day. So they make sure if you have casting right after, they'll give you a time in a bus, and then you just wait around. So I think that would probably encompass all of the second part of check-in. All right, so the third part of check-in and the last part of check-in would be casting. It's very exciting. Casting is like your first real Disney experience, I think, in terms of like actually getting to go to a Disney building. So you'll get on your bus, and they have really awesome like bus guides. If you look in my check-in video, I'll put the link in my description. You can see my tour guide was absolutely hysterical. He told a ton of Disney jokes. He got us really excited for like what's coming up in our program. He was awesome. It just like really made you excited to be a Disney cast member, and like he pumped you up and he showed you all the things along the way. For example, he gave us Disney trivia. As we came to casting, casting is actually right across from downtown Disney, or Disney Springs as it's becoming known now. So Disney Springs is over here. There's a road, casting. Really close, you walk across the street. It's really cool. So you get to see downtown Disney a little bit too while you're doing casting. So for casting, basically what they're gonna do there, they'll bring you into the building. You're gonna wait in a long line. It's really cool. I'm sure you've seen a ton of videos about it. It has like all the gold statues of the characters, and it's a circular room, and then they'll have one of their employees come out and talk to you about how exciting the college program is and what they're gonna have you do. So this is really exciting. I was not expecting all this to happen at casting, so I'm going to tell you what happened. Basically, they brought you into the building, and then they separated you based on where you worked. So they'd send you to someone in the hallway that specialized in your line of business in your area. So I went to someone who had done merchandise. They brought me into a room, and they said, okay, congratulations, you're a merchandise cast member in Adventureland. This is what it means, yada yada. And then they actually gave me a sheet that had a picture of all my costumes. So that was the first time. I didn't actually get to see it in person, but I got to see a picture of my costume, so I like was prepared for what I'd be wearing. And for me, it was quite interesting because at Adventureland, we basically wore pajamas all day, and I found out I had high socks in a lot of my costumes, and that's really hot. So it's fun. You know, it's going to be ridiculous, probably depending on where you are, but it's so cool to actually get to see what you're going to be wearing. And also they told you like what you needed. So for me, I needed black and white sneakers because I had 2 different costumes. I actually have 3 costumes in total for regular Adventureland, but so they'll tell you like what else you need to buy. Usually it's just a pair of sneakers, black or white. And then they also give you a sheet that has kind of like your schedule, your temporary schedule, until you get access to Disney's Hub website, which will give you more access, which you'll get when you're training. So for example, mine said, you have traditions this day, and then the next day you're going to a class called Once Upon a Time Is Now, which is a generic Magic Kingdom class that anyone who is working in Magic Kingdom will take, and they take you into the tunnels, and they take you all through the park, and it's like a walking tour, and it's so exciting and so much fun. I loved it. So, but, sorry, I just get like really excited when I talk about it. So it'll show you stuff like that, like day training 1, you need to be here at this time, this is where you're meeting, etc. So basically, they'll just go through each day with you and tell you kind of what you're going to be doing, which bus route you can take. They're very helpful. Like the A bus, you want to take the A bus because this goes to your apartment complex. Make sure you get on at this time. They're super helpful if you have any questions at all about your location or like what you should prepare. They're incredible resources. They're awesome, so nice. They got me really excited for the job. So this part is really fun too because you got to talk a little bit more specifically about what you'll be doing. And then after you talk with your schedule, they'll have you fill out a couple more tax forms. They'll check your license and your other documents, like if you brought a passport or if you brought your social security card. They'll verify your documents. And then from there, I filled out some more health forms and I got my fingerprints taken. So that was actually pretty easy. It wasn't casting. It takes a while because there are a lot of lines because there's like 30 to 50 of you who get off that bus at a time. So it's a lot of lines, which made it pretty long. It was probably like an hour-ish, hour and a half for me, which wasn't, in the long scheme of things, too long. But, it just takes a while, so it's a lot of lines. But it's not bad, honestly. It's pretty exciting as well. I think after finding out your job location, finding out your schedule and your costume is really exciting too. So I think, that about wraps it up for check-in. Obviously, once you finish casting, you get to go check out your apartment, and that's really exciting. I think I will be talking about next, I will be talking about what you do in between, because for me, I had, I had casting on Monday, and then I had traditions on like Thursday. So I had like 3 days of nothing to do because you can't get into the park until after you take traditions. So basically we were kind of stumped as to what to do. And after, being there for a whole program, I kind of have some ideas for what you guys can do when you're bored. So in my next video, I'll talk about that awkward in-between period and what you guys can do. And if you have any questions at all concerning casting, preparation, what to expect, what I can bring, anything like that, please comment below. I usually answer as fast as I can. If not, please send me an email. I will check that as much as I can as well. And if you guys want anything else and any other information, let me know, and I will talk to you guys next time. Bye, guys.